Let's proceed to swine. Pigs have a long history of providing food and fat for mankind. Before the advent of grain-based cooking oils, rendered pig fat was commonly used to add flavor and calories to food. This was when people generally needed the extra calories for working and before anybody had ever heard of cholesterol. Meat from pigs was often a secondary reason to raise pigs. In order to preserve pig meat in the days before refrigeration, pork was often cured and smoked, a tradition that survives to this day in the form of bacon and cured ham. In the colonial US and during the early to mid 1900s, pigs were referred to as mortgage lifters because farmers could almost always turn a good profit by raising pigs. The commercial industry has evolved quite a bit from those days, but with the current local food movements, small scale swine production can still be profitably practiced. Pigs have long been a source of food and fat for humans. Rendering pig fat was extensively used to add flavor and calories to food before the arrival of grain-based cooking oils. This was back when the people needed the extra calories for work and no one had ever heard of cholesterol. Meat from pig was often a secondary reason for raising pigs. Pork was routinely cured and smoked to preserve pig meat in the days before refrigeration, a custom that continues today in the shape of bacon and cured ham. Pigs were known as mortgage lifters in the colonial American and early to mid 1900s because the farmers could nearly always make a profit growing pigs. Although the commercial business has progressed significantly since those days, small-scale swine rearing can still be profitable thanks to the present local food movement. Different kind of breeds of swine. Berkshire. Berkshire is a British breed of pig. It originated in the English country of Berkshire, for which it is named. It is normally black with some white on the snout, on the lower legs, and on the tip of the tail. It is rare breed in the United Kingdom. Chester White. The Chester White is a breed of domestic pig which originated in Chester Country, Pennsylvania. It was formerly known as the Chester Country White. Duroc. The Duroc pig is an older breed of domestic pig. The breed was developed in the United States and formed the basis for many mixed breed commercial hogs. Duroc pigs are reddish brown and golden yellow, large frame, medium length, and muscular with a partially dropping ears. The Hampshire. The Hampshire pig is a domestic swine breed characterized by erect ears, a black body, and a white band around the middle covering the front legs. Landrace. The American Landrace is a medium to large breed of domestic pig, white in color with long bodies, fine hair, long snouts, and heavy dropping ears. They are bred for pork production. The American Landrace derives from the Danish Landrace of 1895 Danish origin. Poland China. The Poland China is American breed of domestic pig. It was first bred in Warren County in Ohio. In the American Midwest, its origins lie in small number of pigs of Chinese type, both in 1816, which were crossbred with a variety breeds of of European origin, including the Berkshire. Spotted hogs. A spotted swine has black and white spots with no red or brown tints. A drop in ears. That desired color of the spotted swine is 50% black and 50% white. Spots are popular with farmers and commercial swine producers for their ability to transmit their fast gaining, feed efficient meat qualities to their offspring. Yorkshire. The American Yorkshire, a breed of domestic pig, is the American version of the English Yorkshire. The American Yorkshire has smaller and more floppy ears when compared to the English Yorkshire. Large, erect ears and American Yorkshire are the most recorded swine breed farmed for its meat in United States. Management of the boar. The boar should be maintained in a separate pen. They should neither be over nor underfed. Since both will affect its breeding capacity, it should be fleshy and thrifty but not too fatty. During off-season, the boar should be given plenty of grasses and legume, hay and 2 kilograms of concentrate mixture. 5 kilograms of concentrate may be given 2 weeks prior to breeding season. Boars should not be used for breeding earlier than 8 months of age. A young boar can be used for 15 to 20 sows in a season, and older ones may be used for about 25 to 45 sows. A boar can be allowed to serve before being fed. Older sows may be used for breeding season. Older sows may be used for breeding with younger boars. The boars should be housed in its own corral. They should not be overfed or underfed, as both will impact their ability to proceed to reproduce. It should be meaty, economical, and not overly fatty. Grass and legume hay as well as 2 kilograms of concentrate combination should be provided to the pig during the off-season. 2 weeks before breeding season, 5 kilograms of concentrate can be given. Boars should not be utilized for breeding until they are at least 8 months old in a season. A juvenile boar can be utilized for 15 to 20 sows, whereas an older boar can be used for 25 to 45 sows before being fed. A boar can be allowed to serve. During the breeding season, older sows may be used. It's possible to breed older sows with younger boars. Records indicate that about 1 in 10 young untried boars have a fertility problem that renders them either sterile or subfertile. The simple practice of test mating to identify a problem boar before the breeding period starts can save dollars by avoiding lost time and interrupted pig flow. Boars are not normally sexually mature until at least 7 months of age and should not be used before this. Test mate and between 7 to 8 months of age, the procedure is as follows. First is take a gilt in estrus or heat to the boar and observe the boar for aggressiveness and desire to mate. If the boar is test mated while he is still in isolation, select market gilts and do not return them to the herd. Second, give the boar assistance during the first 2 to 4 meetings if necessary. If the boar mounts the front end or side of a female, gently move him around the proper position. He should soon learn to mount correctly. Third is observe the boar ability to enter the gilt and complete the mating, which should take from 3 to 10 minutes. Check for a limp, injured, infantile, and tied penis. If a female is mated, check her for estrus with a boar 18 to 22 days later to determine if she become pregnant. At least 3 gilts should be bred for improved accuracy. Fourth is, if possible, collect and evaluate a semen sample. Semen collection by the glove hand technique is preferred. Evaluate the sample for semen quality, sperm motility concentration, morphology, and semen volume with a minimum amount of training. Most procedures can learn to perform this evaluation themselves. Care management of sow and gels. A sow gives about 150 to 200 kg of milk during 8 weeks suckling period. Sow's milk is more concentrated than cows. Milk hens sow required more feed. Allow 1.5 kilograms of feed for the sow and add 0.5 kilogram of feed per piglet to a maximum of 5 to 6 kilogram of total ration. Gills should be fed to control the schedule of high, low, high intake to provide the appropriate nutrition for body growth and estrus. Preventing the liver from overload during the last third of gestation. Constipation and end of gestation can be avoided by providing adequate water and fiber. Troughs should be provide a feeding space width of 35 centimeter per animal. Feed times must be changed gradually. The boar should be housed in its own corral. They should not be overfed or underfed as both will impact their ability to reproduce. It should be meaty, economical, and over fatty. Grass and legume hay, as well as 2 kilograms of concentrate combination should be provided to the pig during the off-season. 2 weeks before breeding season, 5 kilograms of concentrate can be given. 2 kilograms of concentrate combination should be provided to the pig during the off-season. 2 weeks before breeding of season, 5 kilograms of concentrate can be given. Boars should not be utilized for breeding until they are at least 8 months old in a season. A juvenile boar can be utilized for 15 to 20 sows, whereas an older boar can be used for 25 to 45 sows. Before being fed, a boar can be allowed to serve. During the breeding season, older sows may be used. It's possible to breed older sows with younger boars. Gilts exposed to the boar should have free access to water and boar pen is kept clean and dry. Dampness should be avoided. The boar should be scrubbed and washed daily and kept clean. Trimming of boars' feet periodically will prevent lameness in boars. The bolt cutters can be used to remove tusks and of boars to avoid injuries of sows and attendants. Newly purchased boars should be kept separately for 2 to 3 weeks to avoid risk of introducing any disease into the farm. Care of newborn. The piglets are removed as they are farrowed and kept warm in crib space until farrowing is complete. Each piglet is cleaned of all mucus to ensure that the breathing passage is clear. The navel card should be tied 2 to 0.5 cm away from the navel. Remaining portion is removed hygienically and stumps are painted with iodine. Piglets should be nursed after birth. They nurse 8 to 10 times in a day. Piglets are born with 4 pairs of sharp teeth, 2 pairs of on each jaw, which may injure other or teeth. Hens clip these teeth after birth. Piglet anemia. Since sow's milk is deficient in iron and copper, piglets suffer from serious deficiency resulting in anemia. Affected piglets become weak, dyspeptic, and have distressed breathing. Milk feeding. This disease is also called TAMS because of their difficulty in breathing. To prevent piglets anemia, other of sows may be swabbed daily with a saturated solution of ferrous sulfate for 4 to 6 weeks so the piglets can get these minerals while suckling the milk. Another effective method is injection of, of iron dextran compounds available commercially. Creep feeding. Piglets take dry feed at 2 to 3 weeks. Provision of additional nutrients at this time is essential to have maximum growth and develop. Creep feed is also called as pig starter of vigorous growth to the thriftiness. Salt milk alone is not sufficient for piglets. Creep feed contains 25 to 30% CP. Creep is a device by which piglets are allowed access to the concentrate mixture. It may be arranged of the corner of farrowing pen. Creep feed is feed from 14 to 56 days. Care and management of a baby pig from birth to weaning. Piglets begin to explore his environment within a few minutes after birth. As soon find his way to the nipple and begin to suckle. Because of his curiosity, it is essential that the pen environment should be clean to minimize chance of exposure to disease and parasite. Normally, individual piglets identify themselves with a particular teat during the first few days of life and jealousy protect their access to it. The teeth order will be set within 10 days, but in smaller litter, it is common for a piglet to claim more than one nipple. On the other hand, in larger litters, the weakest pig may starve because they cannot compete for a nipple. The normal nursing behavior pattern is a uniform time interval between each feeding over 24 hours period. The average nursing interval is less than 1 hour so that suckling piglets receives more than 24-hour feeding daily. Each feeding consists of newly few minutes and it decreases when lactation and advances. Within minutes of birth, piglets begin to investigate their surroundings as soon they find way to the nipple. When they begin to suckle because of his interest, it's critical that the pen surroundings be kept clean to reduce risk of disease and parasite exposure. Individual piglets typically associate with a certain teat during their first few days of life and jealously guard their access to it. Within 10 days, the teat order will be fulfilled. However, it is common for a piglet to claim more than one nipple in a smaller litter. In larger litters, however, the weakest pig may be starved due to a lack of competition for nipple over the course of 24 hours period. The usual breastfeeding behavior pattern is a for consistent time in interval between each feeding. Suckling piglets receive more than 24 feeding because the typical nursing interval is shorter than 1 hour. Each feeding takes only a few minutes on a daily basis and this time lowers as lactation progresses. Weaning piglets, usually weaning is done at 7 to 8 weeks. The sows should be separated from the piglets for a few hours each day to prevent stress of weaning and its feed is reduced gradually. Orphan piglets can be raised either with a foster sow or the use of milk replacer. Nutrition. The nutritional requirements of swine vary with sex, age, and psychological status of the animal according to the nutritional requirements. Swine can be classified into 11 distinct groups as follows. Young pigs, the starter pigs 2 to 5 kilogram. Starter pigs 5 to 11 kilogram. Grower pigs 11 to 23 kilograms. Winning to the market pigs. Grower and finishing hogs 23 to 57 kilograms. The finishing hogs 59 to 91 kilograms. Adult males, boars, adult females, gilts. Unbred sows, pregnant sows, sows at the time of parturition. Location sows. Manure disposal, the dry solid dung may be collected morning and even and stored in the dung sheet. The liquid part of urine and washing may be taken to settling tanks. Integration. Pig can be effectively integrated to a biogas plant for meeting the cooking, lighting demand of the farmers. It can also be integrated to agriculture and fish culture, thereby increasing the overall economic efficiency of the system. The pig dung is good organic manure in dried form or as compost. Care and management of the growing finishing pigs. During the growing finishing period, the pig represents a major item of expense. The feeding program should be directed toward producing the maximum amount of lean meat in as short a time as possible as the lowest cost per pound of gain. Knowledge of the general development of the pig helps in planning the feeding program. As the pig grows larger, proportionately more than fat than lean is produced. The ratio of fat to lean increase in the full feed pig varies from about 2 is to 1 at 100 pounds to 3 is to 1 at 200 pounds. About 4 times as much feed is required to produce a pound of fat as compared a pound to lean meat. Thus, the pig becomes less efficient as its weight increases. Daily growth rate tends to increase up to 200 to 225 pounds and then declines. Feed is significantly expensive during the growing fishing stage. The feeding schedule should be designed to provide the most lean meat in the shortest length of time possible at the lower cost per pound gain. The ability to plan the feeding regimen based on the pig's overall development is beneficial. As the pig becomes larger, it produces proportionately more fat than lean. In a full feed pig, the fat to lean ratio increases from roughly 2 is to 1 at 100 pounds to 3 is to 1 at 200 pounds. A pound of a fat requires 4 times the amount of feed required to reproduce a pound of lean meat. When a result, as the pig's weight increases, it becomes less efficient. The daily growth rate tends to increase until reaches 200 to 225 pounds, after which it begins to fall. And that's all.